Welcome to Things You Don't Know. Today, we're taking a look at fast food restaurants and why they seem to be sort of fading. For decades, fast food restaurants seemed almost permanent. A familiar building could sit on the same corner for 30 or 40 years. Now, many communities are seeing closed dining rooms, abandoned signs, shorter operating hours, or whole locations disappearing. Wendy's, Subway, Jack in the Box, Pizza Hut, and other chains have reduced parts of their American systems. But this is not simply the death of fast food. It is a correction inside an industry that has become very large, very expensive to operate, and less certain of what customers now consider a good value.
That distinction matters. The restaurant industry as a whole is still enormous. In late 2025, the United States had more than 860,000 restaurant locations, an all time high. Industry sales are projected to rise again in 2026. At the same time, customer traffic has been weak. In May 2026, 45% of restaurant operators reported fewer customers than a year earlier, and the industry had recorded a net decline in traffic during 15 of the previous 16 months. Sales can rise while visits fall because menu prices are higher. A restaurant may collect more money per order while serving fewer people.
That is one reason the situation can look contradictory. People hear that restaurant spending is increasing, yet they see a nearby burger or sandwich shop close. Both can be true. Strong locations and popular brands may continue growing, while older stores with poor traffic, expensive leases, outdated buildings, or weak franchise owners become impossible to justify. Chains are increasingly studying each location rather than assuming that every store carrying a famous name should remain open.
Yeah, the first major issue is price. Fast food built its reputation on being quick, predictable, and inexpensive. Customers did not expect the best meal in town, but they expected a noticeable savings compared with a sit down restaurant. That price advantage has narrowed. In 2025, prices for food away from home rose about 4%, compared with roughly 2.3% for groceries. And when we look at the rise in grocery prices, that's very substantial for the average person who is struggling to make ends meet with this new economy. Over several years, the difference becomes large enough for customers to notice. A family looking at the cost of several combination meals may decide to buy prepared food at a supermarket, cook at home, or spend slightly more at a restaurant they consider much better.
The restaurant itself is also paying more before the customer enters the building. Meat, cooking oil, potatoes, bread, packaging, cleaning products, utilities, insurance, maintenance, and rent have all created pressure. The National Restaurant Association reported that more than out of 10 operators identified major cost categories such as food, labor, insurance, energy, and credit card fees as serious concerns in 2026. A fast food location depends on high volume and narrow margins. If fewer cars come through the drive through, even a modest rise in cost can turn a marginal store into a losing store.
Franchise arrangements add a whole nother layer to this thing, I think. The public sees one brand, but many individual restaurants are owned by franchises. Those owners may pay rent, royalties, advertising fees, loan payments, and required renovation costs. A corporation can remain healthy while some franchises struggle. An older restaurant may need new kitchen equipment, digital menu boards, building repairs, and a redesigned drive through. If the location already has declining traffic, the owner may not be able to borrow or may decide that renovation is just not worth the risk.
Yeah, overexpansion is part of the story as well. Chains often grew by placing locations close together, especially during periods when real estate was cheaper and traffic patterns were different. Subway is a strong example. It once had an extraordinary number of American locations, sometimes with several stores in a very small area. Its United States system lost a net 729 restaurants during 2025, continuing a long contraction. Now, that does not mean Americans stopped eating sandwiches. It means the chain had more locations than current sales could support, and some stores were competing with other stores carrying the same name.
Jack in the Box announced a plan to close roughly 150 to 200 underperforming restaurants, many of them more than 30 years old. Wendy's also began evaluating and closing weaker American units. These decisions are not always signs that an entire company is about to vanish. Closing a weak store can redirect customers to a stronger nearby location and remove a building that needs expensive repairs. In business terms, the chain may become smaller but more profitable.
The economy affects customers differently, and fast food depends heavily on people who feel financial pressure first. Lower and middle income households are more sensitive to increases in rent, gasoline, insurance, and groceries. When those expenses rise, restaurant visits are easy to reduce. A person may still buy fast food, but instead of 3 visits a week, they cut it down to one. They may order only a sandwich rather than a full meal, use an app coupon, or wait for a value promotion. That change, multiplied across thousands of customers, can determine whether a location survives.
Yeah, this has damaged the meaning of the word value. A low price is not the only issue. Customers compare portion size, food quality, waiting time, order accuracy, and the total bill. A $12 fast food meal may be judged more harshly than a $12 meal from a local restaurant, grocery deli, or fast casual chain. Once customers believe a brand is no longer inexpensive, the company must give them another reason to return. Some chains have responded with bundled meals and loyalty discounts, but heavy discounting can also reduce the operator's profit margins.
The second large question is labor. It is too simple to say that workers are unavailable or unwilling to work. Restaurants are competing for employees with warehouses, retail stores, delivery companies, healthcare support jobs, and other employers. Fast food work can involve irregular schedules, late nights, weekend shifts, standing for long periods, angry customers, heat, noise, and constant performance monitoring. A slightly higher wage elsewhere may come with steadier hours or less stress.
Transportation and childcare also affect the labor supply. Many fast food workers do not live near the restaurant, and the closing shift may end after public transportation is limited. Parents may be unable to accept schedules that change every week. Teenagers once supplied a visible part of the fast food workforce, but school activities, family expectations, transportation problems, and competition from other entry level jobs can reduce that pool. Older workers may want benefits and predictable hours that a small franchise cannot provide for them.
That's right. The labor problem is therefore partly a job quality problem. In March 2026, accommodation and food services still had one of the highest job opening rates among major industries. That suggests employers were continuing to seek workers. But an open position does not prove that enough people can accept its pay, schedule, location, and conditions. Restaurants may technically have applicants while still struggling to keep trained employees. High turnover creates repeated costs for hiring, training, supervision, and mistakes.
Higher wages do raise operating costs, but low wages also create costs. An understaffed restaurant may close the dining room, reduce late night hours, make customers wait longer, or worse, produce more incorrect orders. Managers then spend their time filling the basic positions rather than improving the business. Customers who have a poor experience may not return. Labor is not merely an expense to be cut, it is also part of speed, cleanliness, accuracy, and reputation.
Technology is being used to reduce some of that pressure. Customers can now order through apps, self service kiosks, websites, and delivery platforms. Kitchens use screens to organize orders. Some drive through systems are testing automated voice ordering. These tools can reduce certain tasks, but they do not eliminate the need for cooks, cleaners, maintenance workers, managers, and people who solve problems when an order goes wrong. Technology often changes the job rather than removing it altogether.
That's correct. Culture has changed just as much as economics. The traditional fast food restaurant was once a place to sit, meet friends, take children, or stop during a shopping trip. Today, nearly three-quarters of restaurant traffic occurs off the premises through takeout, drive-through, and delivery. Many customers no longer care whether the dining room is attractive because they never enter it. That makes a large building with many tables expensive and unnecessary.
You know, Dr. Weaver, work patterns have changed too. Fewer people commute to the same office 5 days a week, and some shopping malls and downtown business districts have less dependable foot traffic. A restaurant built around the lunch rush may no longer have the same customer base. At the same time, newer competitors have appeared. Convenience stores offer hot meals and mobile ordering. Supermarkets have expanded their prepared food counters. Coffee chains sell breakfast and lunch. Fast casual restaurants offer more customization and may appear fresher or healthier.
Customers also expect more variety. Traditional fast food was designed around a limited national menu. Modern diners may look for bowls, vegetarian choices, grilled items, international flavors, specialty drinks, or food that fits dietary restrictions. Social media makes new food trends spread quickly, and independent restaurants can attract attention without buying international television advertising. A familiar logo is still valuable, but it no longer guarantees loyalty.
Health concerns have influenced the market, although they have not ended demand for burgers, fried food, or pizza. Customers may eat these foods less often, choose smaller portions, or alternate them with meals they regard as healthier. The culture has also become less patient with a bad experience. A long wait, dirty dining room, or inaccurate order can immediately produce an online review. A weak location can damage the reputation of the entire brand.
Delivery created convenience but also new financial problems. Third party services charge fees, and food designed for immediate service may arrive cold or damaged. Restaurants have had to redesign packaging and kitchen procedures for orders they do not personally hand to the customer. Delivery can increase sales, but it can also produce lower margin orders and complaints about problems the restaurant did not fully control.
The physical form of fast food is now changing. Newer locations may have smaller dining rooms, more drive through capacity, shelves for mobile pickup, separate doors for delivery drivers, and kitchenettes designed around digital orders. Some companies are testing locations with no public seating. The old roadside building is not always being replaced by another building of the same kind. That can make fast food appear to be fading even when companies still selling meals through a different system.
And there is also a community effect when a location closes. Entry level jobs disappear. Nearby workers lose an inexpensive lunch option, and an empty building can make a commercial area look weaker. In a small town, a national chain may also serve as an informal meeting place. The loss is not identical to the closing of a local family restaurant, but it still changes routines and removes a familiar public space.
Now, some locations will be converted to other restaurants, medical offices, banks, or retail businesses. Others are difficult to reuse because they were built for a specific drive through pattern. Local governments may have to decide whether to permit another restaurant, require redevelopment, or leave the property vacant while the owner searches for a tenant. A single closure may reflect one bad lease, but several closures in the same area can indicate declining population, changing traffic, or reduced household spending.
The likely future is not a world without fast food, but it's a world with fewer weak locations, more digital ordering, more price promotions, smaller buildings, and greater competition from businesses that were not once considered restaurants. The chains that survive will have to offer clear value, dependable service, and food that matches current tastes. A famous name alone, that just won't cut it.
Fast food became powerful by adjusting itself to the economy and culture of the 20th century. Its present difficulties come from trying to adjust again under higher costs, tighter household budgets, a demanding labor market, and customers who have more ways to obtain a quick meal. The establishments are not simply fading, they are being tested location by location, and many of the old versions no longer pass that test. The industry figures and examples are based on recent restaurant traffic research, federal labor data, company announcements, and franchise records. It's a complex issue, but it seems that there's just a whole nexus of things. And I think one of the biggest things is the disposable income that customers have these days and the rising prices. It appears that fast food costs more than it did in the past. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, Dr. Weaver.
Quite so, yes.
So, okay, we could go on, but thank you for tuning in and listening in.
Yes, thank you guys. Be sure and come back, like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.